I didn't plan on it. You know, how that all came about was, you know, it kind of blows everybody's mind. Because my son, Timmy, was actually watching the dog, the bounty hunter. And he never watches the dog. And all the guys at work were talking about the dog, doing a segment that night about Massachusetts. So he decided that one night, to watch the dog, so he can have a conversation piece with the guys in the morning. And it was that night that they showed Mark's segment on Random One, episode 4. So there's a TV commercial that said, "Stay tuned 8 o'clock for a Random One series about a man out of the woods in Woonsocket, Rhode Island." Well, my son lives in Woonsocket, so I gotta check this out. Checked it out. Now, there's only like a 10-second clip in Mark's segment of me walking to the green pickup truck. And he recognized me. I don't know how he did it after 13 years not seeing me. And he called his wife over and he says, "That looks like my dad." So he called my oldest son and my youngest daughter. He said, "You better put on 37. I need some verification that this is Dad." They didn't know where I was. So when they all agreed that it was me, they emailed Random One, said the other guy in the tent was my father, and did you help him? Do you know where we can help him? Where he's at or anything? So they came back and they got me. Well, as you can tell in the movie, I was pretty confused. You know, I did my tent was in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And these friends of mine, there was a big snowstorm coming, so they said, "Why don't you come to the house for a few days?" And I know it was a crack house, you know. So I said, "Yeah, I'll go." I didn't tell anybody in Woonsocket where I was going, so I thought. You know, I totally forgot that I asked my brother-in-law to come down to the tent with me, and we picked up a couple of my things, and he brought me over there. I totally forgot all about that. So when they showed up at the door, when my friends came upstairs and said, "You got company," who knows I'm here? Nobody. When I got to the door, I see Mark, and I remember the 2 guys from the pickup truck. And I said, "Wow, you know, how'd you find me?" It was kind of a shocking experience at 9:30 at night to find them standing at the door, but I did not know. I didn't even know they were involved in this at that point. You know, that's why what they don't show in the film is it took them almost 2 hours to convince me to go. You know, because I've been lied to so many times. You know, you go to detox, we'll put you in a program. And I've been to detox, and there was never no program. Never no beds available, you know. So who was this film crew to promise me this? But you know what? Mark was there. He was talking normal. He gained some weight. You know, he inspired me a little bit. And you know, I was at the end of my ropes. You know, I was dead. I was just too stupid to lay down. And I think I told John Chester, "I'm gonna give it this one last shot. If I don't go to a program after detox, I'm coming to Baltimore. You're not gonna like me." He said, "I can promise you a program." So that's when I went. That's when they introduced me to some. They didn't tell me nothing about my kids at the time. All the way to the library, they never told me anything about my kids. And then they said, "We have people that's waiting for you on the other side." I couldn't put nothing together, you know. When they told me about my kids, and they were here in the parking lot, and it's like, and I came before them, I was pissed. And if I was ever going to meet my children again, I wasn't going to be looking like that, feeling like that, smelling like that, nothing. And but I was stuck. They were in front of me, so. Yeah, well, after I met my children, I was kind of shocked with that. But then they started showing me pictures of grandchildren I never knew I had. And that hit home. I still tear up sometimes. And, you know, with all the drinking and drugging I was doing, it hit me so hard that I got sober like this. That's how hard it hit me. And I became selfish. It wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. You know, their life was moving. They were having families, they had jobs, their life was going. My life stopped. That's what I mean by selfish. It wasn't about them anymore, it was about me. I needed the sobriety. I wanted it. I had the thirst and I had the hunger for it. It was the only time in my life that I ever felt like that, and that was total surrender for me. It's great. It's great. As a matter of fact, next week I'm going up to Rhode Island to go see him for the holiday. You And I'm gonna try and fly home just before the Christmas, but I'm gonna go spend a week with them. I got 8 grandchildren. They always contact me, and it's great. Well, I can only honestly say that I don't see what you see because it's me in the movie. I don't like watching the movie because I don't like to see myself that way. All I know is this movie, for some reason, is a tool for me. It shows people where I came from in the tent, and it shows people how they actually lended a hand out, and that's all it took for me to get into sobriety. And what I do today is I try and be an inspiration. And if I can come from a tent and be where I am today, especially if you've seen the Oprah situation, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm pleased to be able to reach out, just like Random One did to me. You know, I kind of want to follow Andre's and John's path in the same scenario type thing, and just reach out. By showing the movie, I got involved as a substance abuse counselor. When I am home, I work for drug court. I do one-on-ones, and I try and keep these clients on the right path. I try and be an inspiration. When you first come into recovery, is a big fog. The first things that people think of is, I'm never gonna have fun. Am I or am I not an alcoholic or an addict? I try and give them the inspiration to really look into themselves. So just to watch somebody grow in a program is unbelievable, you know, because this is a gift. You know, it is a gift to get clean and sober. So for me, my gift is to watch people grow. You know, I did it, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's just the way I look at it. So if anybody's got any doubt in their mind that they can't accomplish something, I try and be the intravenous and say, yeah, you can do anything you want in sobriety. And it seems to work. My goal, I'd love to see a transitional house in Lost and Found in America in every state. That's kind of a goal. You know, unfortunately, you got these stubborn states and you got these stubborn little areas, and of course, funding is a big issue. You know, part of Lost and Found in America is based on, just like the movie, you know, they help people, but they can't use their own money. You know, so I'm trying to develop a plan throughout the country to say, if I can get into an organization and put in my transitional house with this organization, it can be sponsored by that organization. What I did was I took plans, what helped me in my recovery, you know, the rules and the regulations, and I put a packet together, and it works. It works. You know, anybody that in my houses today, I'm running 98% recovery, and that's like unheard of, you know. So it's strict and it's structured, and that's what people need. You know, it's not to punish them, but they have to get on the right path, and I try and. So that's my goal, to get as many people clean as possible and give them a life. God has been my moment. He always puts me in paths. You know, my biggest turning point in sobriety was actually my spiritual awakening. You know, it made me wake up. I was in Vail, Colorado, and we were on tour. And we did a showing for a drug court judge, and she allowed us to park the RV in her yard so we could plug it in, and it was great. So I remember that morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm outside having a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and I'm looking across the way, and the mountains were so beautiful. I just happened to look around the neighborhood and seeing the colors in the trees, and the birds are chirping, and I actually shed a tear. And it was the first time in my life, I think, that I ever seen the earth on a beautiful level. You know, and right at that moment, I was thinking back in the tent and my addiction, and I would have never noticed that mountain. I would have never noticed the colors in the trees. And then birds better shut up. But it was a beautiful moment. And I needed those moments at times to make me know who I am today. And then I started chasing that. You know, sometimes I get on my four-wheeler, I go up in the mountains, I want that serenity, I want that peace, I want to see what God's nature. And of course, the people that you help. You watch them grow. All it takes is just a small miracle of saying, I got this. You know, I've been invited to weddings for people I got clean sober. I'm not afraid to walk under a bridge, and I managed to go under bridges and go in woods and go help people. And it's a miracle to be able to celebrate their birthday. You know, the 1 year chip, the 2 year chip, or they're getting married, or just to watch them grow and the excitement. You know, like I get the excitement for things I got in my life, and to watch that. So that's what keeps me going. Some accomplishments is I opened up a few transitional houses and I help people. I also struggle, you know, with the fact of the meetings. Like where I'm from in Woonsocket, Nevada, I just sat on the Stafford drug court for a while, just to experience things. And there was clients actually coming in. I'm from the East Coast, don't get me wrong. I'm from all up and down this coast. And there was people coming into drug court complaining that they can go to a meeting and they can only talk about alcohol, but they can't talk about drugs. I never heard of that, being from the East Coast. You know, you go to a meeting is a meeting is a meeting. Right? If I can't go in there and talk about, I actually went to this meeting just to see, and I explained to them who I was and what I do. I'm a national speaker, I travel the country, yada, yada, yada. And I like to talk about my story, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. And they told me the same thing. You can't talk about drugs here. I said, well, I'm not gonna get half my recovery. Where can I go for the other half? And they couldn't understand it either. And their bottom line was, you don't take a cat to a dog fight. I said, well, then have a nice day. Next day, I went to the hospital and I talked to the administrator over there, and I opened up my own lost and found meeting. It's welcome, because that's your story. You could be addicted to alcohol and gambling. Yeah, you could be both, alcoholic, drugs. You can be anything. You got to be able to tell your story the way it is. So I started opening up meetings. Matter of fact, I got hot dog meetings. Anybody can, and the reason why I did hot dog meetings, it's a very, very powerful. People laugh at the hot dog meeting, but here's the way I think it works, and it does work this way. You got homeless people, addicted to drugs and alcohol, especially in the wintertime. They know about a meeting, they get a hot cup of coffee, a hot dog, maybe a brownie, and they come in just for the hot dog, the coffee, and the brownie. They're not participating. But you'd be surprised how many people came in for that hot dog, drunk, stoned, and they hear something. I've seen so many people come in, and then 2-3 weeks later, they're coming in, they're clean cut, and they want it. So you're really helping them out in a different way. You're actually giving them like a magnet, you're drawing them in, and they get it. You know, a lot of people don't know they're even addicted to drugs and alcohol. So I try and play the both roles. So some of the accomplishments that I have is opening up meetings, opening up transitional houses. Of course, the movie. I answer anywhere between 400 to 600 emails a week of the people that I've helped, and I try to get to each one of them. A lot of them, don't forget, is inspirational. You know, I'm glad I met you type things, but a lot of them, they're still asking questions. You know, and I try and answer the question to the best of my ability. What's my achievements? I reach out to people. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of me. Well, some people don't like this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. An addict and an alcoholic can only feel an addict and alcoholic. Okay? I can tell you just this much of my story, and you're going to feel it. If you're an alcoholic, you're going to feel it. That makes me one of you. And if I get time under my belt that's clean, they're going to glue onto me. That's exactly the way it works. You have counselors out there who, don't get me wrong, are great counselors, but they're book smart. They can't feel you because you're book smart. You haven't been there. So how do you know what I'm feeling? And that's the way that program works. So when I sit before somebody and they could feel me, I know they can. I can feel them. I can feel their struggles. If he wakes up, I don't know if I can do this. I can feel that, which another person may not be able to feel it. Don't get me wrong, I met up with some counselors who were not addicted to drugs and alcohol. Well, wonderful, and they're really great at what they do because you swear they were, you know? Yeah. That took a while. You know, I had to build up the trust. Within that first years of them being in my life, you know, they went through hell. On the holidays, they're used to seeing Dad drunk. You know, you take them to functions, you spend most of your time at the bear tent. So it took a long time. I think what made them come out of the woodwork was they were always, for what they tell me, they were always hoping that one day I'd come back into their life, clean and sober. But what got them the most is to see me out there like that. You know, they just felt that they had to intervene, that I was going to kill myself. You know, they never thought that I would take it to that extreme level, to the low. And that's what they explained to me. So, but the trust factor came in. A few little incidences, you know, big dad I am in sobriety. I remember making a Thanksgiving dinner at my house after I got clean and sober, and I wanted all my kids and my grandkids over there, and everybody's playing along, you know, little cousins are all playing. I fell asleep in my recliner. They kicked my recliner. You know, Dad, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. But what are they used to seeing? You know, they're used to seeing that. Had nothing to do with the 5 plates of turkey I had, but, you know, I had to justify all my surroundings, you know, and I also had to take the retaliation. I took them to see monster trucks, and my granddaughter, 4 years old, was infatuated with this little purple truck in the showcase over there. And halfway through, I went to get myself a soda. And I stood in that line for 40 minutes to get her that little truck that she was so indicted to get. I went back and, Dad, you all right? Where'd you go? What's going on? Because they're so used to seeing me out of the picture at the bear tent. You know, how do you explain that I stood in line for 40 minutes? You know, and they came up close thinking that they could smell alcohol or whatever the story is. But that's the kind of trust that I had to build. I went out to this place in California called 12 Angels. These are 2 billionaires who actually hit rock bottom. But they put a big showing on for Woonsocket. And at this time, we're going up to the gate. There's a rope gate, and John Chester goes up and he gives his name, and they open the gate and they let him in. They let his Molly in, and I get up there and they say, oh, you belong over there. Because I'm in the movie, they counted me as a star. And I had to walk the red carpet. And there was flashes and there was all this stuff. I'm new in recovery. What the hell's going on here? I was in all the magazines in California. And they asked me if I had a girl. I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have a wife, I don't have nobody. I took John Chester's wife. Hey, come here, look pretty. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. But I'm standing outside of this place and I'm watching these Porsches and Maseratis. Oh, George Clooney showed up. Ice-T showed up. I mean, some of these stars are coming in here, and I'm at a overwhelming panic right now. I never been to Hollywood. I'm standing in Hollywood Boulevard over here, and I'm doing this showing for Lost. And I'm calling up my son saying, you ain't gonna believe this. You know, I'm standing out here on Hollywood Boulevard. George Clooney just walked in. You know, Ice-T walked. These directors and these big people that I don't even know, they're big expensive cars. And all my son said, so how you doing? I'm telling you how I'm doing, man. I'm standing on Hollywood Boulevard, man. You ain't gonna believe what I'm seeing here. He says, that's good. How you doing? He asked me, it took the 3rd time before I realized. I'm doing okay, Tim. Okay, now tell me what's going on. He didn't want me to get overwhelmed over this stuff and then pick up, you know. A lot of people, when they first get into recovery, they go to weddings or showers, you want to fit in. So what's the first thing you do? You're going to pick up a beer. You're going to pick up a glass of wine. Actually, it was none there. It was a recovery thing, and they were serving tea. Expensive tea, but it was tea. You know? But he wanted to know how I was, and that was the base. And that woke me up to that they were concerned, you know, and I had to build that to where today I can go anywhere I want and they know I'm gonna be clean, you know. It took a while. I can't believe that just from the last time I was here till now, the changes that were made. It's unbelievable. This whole building, the whole office, there's more programs going on. That's huge. That's huge.